Good afternoon or good morning to you wherever you are. We are officially starting our webinar now, and we are recording. So if you need to log off for some reason before the webinar has concluded, you can come back to the link when we post it on our social media sites to have access to the webinar. I'm Beth Misner, and I'm the co-creator of the Business Voices Movement and co-founder of the BNI Foundation. And my husband and I are happy to welcome our very early collaborative partner, Derek Bowles. He will be on the call with us this morning as well, helping to shape and guide the movement of Business Voices. But before we do that, I just would like to ask Ivan to share a couple of words about his vision for Business Voices. Ivan, welcome to the call. And Ivan is muted, so you will need to unmute yourself.
I hate when that happens. Hi, thanks, Beth. I just wanted to say that I really love the Business Voices concept that Elizabeth has come up with. I believe that business can be noble, that business can make a difference in the world and can help businesses around the world. I had an opportunity with Elizabeth to spent some time with Richard Branson on Necker Island a year ago, and had a chance to interview Richard. And he talked about a concept he called the B team. And the B team stands for the business team, and how business can really make a difference, and how important business is. Because for whatever reason, governments they're not solving the problems around the world. It's just not happening. And Elizabeth and I have always been highly committed to children and education. I think that education is the great equalizer in the world, that with a good education, people can come from almost any background and achieve success. And so projects that help support children and help support educational programs are really in the wheelhouse of BNI. Branson talked about how business and the B team can focus on people, planet, and then profit. The profit's important for a business to be successful, but first you gotta work with people and the planet. And for Business Voices, it's about people from the perspective of education, the children. And today's partner, it fits that perfectly, because it's all about children and children in an entrepreneurial spirit. And I can't think of a better partner than someone that deals not only with children, but children that are also entrepreneurs. And so Business Voices is to highlight and support programs like this all around the world. If you're attending this session today, we appreciate you being here, and I'd love to have you work with Beth in taking Business Voices global to help find ways that BNI and other organizations can make a difference throughout the world. That's all I had for today, Beth.
Thank you very much. You know, your vision is very inspiring, and you definitely have the ear of the business community, Ivan. So it's your time and your energy and effort on our movement is really appreciated. Business Voices for me is really an awareness campaign. We have the world's largest business network, BNI. We have people doing business with a focus on givers gain. And when I kind of envisioned this movement, I hearkened back to Nelson Mandela's comment, as far as what can one person do. And I think if there is one person in a BNI chapter who gets excited and inspired by Business Voices to bring awareness to the educational needs of organizations in your community, then my whole energy and effort in starting this movement will be satisfied and definitely will be worth its while. There are stories coming out of our movement already that are so incredibly inspiring, and I want to introduce someone that is an inspiring person himself that has had a big influence in our movement. And if you'll prepare to unmute yourself, Derek will bring you in to speak about your vision for Business Voices, because you have been partnered with us from the very, very beginning. As soon as we launched the movement, you were right there, because this is near and dear to your heart as well. So I would like to introduce you, Derek, to share your vision for Business Voices. And Derek has some background sounds I could hear that may keep him from speaking. So until, Derek, I see your unmute signal, I will go ahead and speak for you. Oh, here you are. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly now.
No, that's great. Well, first I want to just say hello to everyone who is participating and engaged in this call. The Business Voices movement is literally changing the landscape of our globe. And, Dr. Misner and Beth, their vision to engage businesses to have an opportunity to really make an impact on a grassroots level has been profound. And I'm just honored to be a part of it and to witness what's happening, and so excited to have stories to share from my experience. The photo that you see here are two young men that we connected with in New Orleans, that I love the smiles and the looks in their eyes, but that wasn't the case when we originally arrived at the school. And so it took us about an hour to invest, connect, show that we care, and really, I like to use the term mentor with young people, and all of a sudden we have a connection. And so that's one of the biggest things about the Business Voices movement that I think is profound, is it provides an opportunity for different organizations, but more than anything, business people, to connect with the next generation of leaders.
Derek, your guidance and your inspiration is much appreciated. And you're right, those kids did not look quite so friendly when we walked in that room, did they?
Right.
But
That's
just
right.
connecting at the heart level with these at-risk kids and inspiring them to become heroes themselves. And that takes us to our special guest. We have with us on the line MaryMargaret O'Neill, who is the founder of Kids Are Heroes. Good afternoon, MaryMargaret.
Hi, how are you?
Great to have you on the call. And we have Gabe O'Neill, the president of Kids Are Heroes. And Gabe is MaryMargaret's father, his claim to fame. Good afternoon, Gabe.
Very proud to be her dad. Thanks for having us, Beth and Dr. Ivan.
I would be proud as well. She's a wonderful girl. So will you two please share with us, with the BNI audience and our BNI Foundation supporters, what Kids Are Heroes is all about and how we can support you and what you need from us?
Okay, and by the way, I'm not seeing my cursor for the slide, so, oh, there it is. Okay, I think I got it now. All right, well, yes, and you might think that this is a picture of my daughter, Nicolina, but it's MaryMargaret, but it's not. Her name is Nicolina, and she gives up her birthday gifts to provide mosquito nets for third world countries. And so she's just a cutie, and she's just one of the 460 kids that we showcase. And before we get started, I really want to thank Dr. Misner and Beth for the opportunity to speak here and all the generosity you've shown us to date. And just know that we're greatly appreciative, and for recognizing our mission. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide here. See if that worked. I'm having. Let me try one more time. I think, Beth, can you forward it for me? It's not going there. Thank you. Okay, so the organization, and that is MaryMargaret, the one dead center with the blonde hair, and she founded the organization in 2008. So MaryMargaret, I'll let you talk about how that all got started.
Okay, so one day in my science class, we were learning about endangered animals, and I've always had a huge passion for animals. They've always loved them since I was little. So once I found out there were so many endangered animals, I told my dad I wanted to help animals. He said, why not help people and the environment too? So that's how the idea of the website came together. So after talking about it, we came up with the idea of Kids Are Heroes, and we feature kids who are doing amazing things to get the kids inspired to do the same thing.
Okay, so yeah, it was really started. We started as a father-daughter project, and it's really blossomed into something much larger than that, which I'm very grateful for. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, so we are like an official company, and we did relocate from Maryland to Georgia in 2014, and we'll get into a little bit more of why we did that. And let's see, I don't know if I changed that or you did that. Anyway, so what is Kids Are Heroes? Well, we're an incubator for very young social entrepreneurs, and what we do is we empower kids to affect positive change in the world, among their peers, and especially within themselves. And how we do that is by showcasing children who are accomplishing amazing things, like they're drilling water wells in Africa, they're building homes in Haiti, or they're simply filling up their local food banks. And this is a picture of one of our events with MaryMargaret in the middle and children from 4 different countries. So that was pretty cool. And besides featuring children on our site, what we try and help them do is develop sustainable businesses, whether they be for-profit, non-profit, or even B corporations. And our message to parents is, if your children take this track in life of giving back, their career trajectory will be much higher. We've seen it in child after child after child, and it's really kind of an amazing thing. We actually didn't design this from the beginning. We kind of tripped over it, and but we're so kind of excited to having done that. So we do have, currently we have 461 since yesterday, change makers from 18 countries currently on the website. And as I said, they're doing a wide variety of things, raising money in many different ways, or just being activists themselves for people, planet, the planet, or the environment, or people, animals, and the environment. We've held 7 international events since our start, and I'll let MaryMargaret talk about what Kids Are Heroes Day is all about.
So Kids Are Heroes Day is a day where we invite all of the heroes from the website to come out and share what they do. So we had kids that came as far as Abu Dhabi. His name is Abdul. And what they do is they come out and they set up their own little table, and it's from 10 to 4. Usually we would have it at our local mall in Frederick, Maryland, where they just set up a table for a couple hours, and kids would come through the day and come see what this event's all about, and they would come to the tables and they would meet the heroes themselves and get inspired in person and get to talk to them and bounce ideas off and get to see all these different kids doing these amazing things. And we had speeches during the day, and sometimes we have celebrity guests who would come and they would attract attention as well. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I always love doing it because I get to meet all the heroes in person, and we always become close friends. I have a lot of close friends on the website now that I'm friends with from meeting through Kids Are Heroes. So.
Okay, I'd like to change the slide again. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so we're going to go through some of our historical highlights, what's happened to us in the past, and we've actually had quite a lot of fun things occur. One of the first ones was that Richard Branson was a very big influence on me personally when we got started, because I learned about social entrepreneurship through him. And to pay homage to that, we sent in a pitch that he had asked for. He had asked for businesses to send in pitches for this Pitch TV promotion he was running. And it turned out, after, make a long story short, we won it. We were one of the first 5 to be shown on his show, and he actually featured us as his first on his premiere episode in 2009, which meant that we also got to be on Virgin Atlantic Plains in June of that year. At age 12, MaryMargaret received a standing ovation when she spoke in front of 500 entrepreneurs at the Disruptive Thinking Conference in Richmond, and Richard Branson was there. So MaryMargaret, can you tell us a little bit about that experience and what it meant to you?
Well, I remember having to memorize a lot of the lines a bunch of times. Other than that, it was really interesting to be able to stand in front of, I've never spoken in front of that many people before until that day. So it was kind of nerve-wracking. I was nervous to be able to, plus I do have a little paper with me to bounce, to glance at. I didn't have any papers that day, so I was a little bit nervous I'd forget something. Luckily, I didn't, so that was that was great. And afterwards, always people would come up to me and congratulate me, and a woman even said that you're not just empowering girls, you're empowering women as well, and I thought that was kind of a goosebumps type moment. That was really cool to hear, and yeah, so that was actually really a lot of fun, and I got to meet a lot of different people, and it was nice to see people's inspiring faces afterwards. You could tell that people really wanted to go out and do something and get involved in some way.
And that's really the message that we have, is that Mary Margaret's one of 461 kids, and to have these types of experiences are incredibly empowering for the children themselves. And this is just something, as I said, it's not something we designed. We figured it out as we noticed it as we were going along the way, and we said, oh my gosh, parents really need to get their kids doing something, because there's so many ripple effects that go in so many directions from this type of activity. And as we mentioned before, Sir Richard Branson was at the keynote, so I finally did get to meet my idol, and sadly Mary Margaret, still not sure if he's really a celebrity, but I kind of think he is. And then beyond that, Mary Margaret's been featured in several international magazines. I think the one on the right is Girls Life, and the one on the left is Discovery Girls. So Mary Margaret, tell us about the Discovery Girls experience.
Okay, so in 2012, Discovery Girls announced they would be having a Discovery Girls role model issue coming out, where they invite all the girls from all over the country to come out and share what they do in some way to change the world, or leaders. So they had girls that would have to enter this contest. So 3,000 people applied, and then I got chosen one of 30 to be picked. And you had to vote each day for for about a month to vote each day for which girl you want to win. And that was really scary, because it would show you on there who's in first place and who's in last, so you'd have to check each day, like, oh my gosh, am I not gonna make it? So that was really weird. I've never had anything like that before, but luckily at the end of the month they closed the poll, and I got chosen one of the 12 girls that won the contest. So we got flown out to San Francisco, and actually 2 of the other heroes were also chosen. I've already met them before, and I was friends with them, so that was really neat as well. Yeah, so that's what we got to hang out for an entire 5 days, I think, in San Francisco. We got to have a photo shoot. We got to share our stories, and yeah, that was fun.
Okay, and not to top that, then in 2000, what was this, 2012 or 13?
I was 2012, I think.
2012, you got on the Ricky Lake show. So tell us about that one.
Okay, so I was through Twitter. My dad got in contact with one of the producers of Ricky Lake Show, and so he said, "Well, we're doing an episode where we're talking about people changing the world and how you can get involved in making a difference in your community." So we got to fly out to Los Angeles and be on the show, and I was really nervous. I've never been on national television before, so that was really scary too. And my bra strap was falling down the entire time during the episode, so if you watch the episode you can see I'm trying to adjust myself. Other than that, it was really neat to see. There's people crying in the crowd after they heard our story, and I could just tell that everyone in there was definitely empowered. They were clapping and insanely clapping, and they were all just so proud of what we were doing, and they wanted to get involved. And that was really another really interesting experience, because I know that young kids were watching out there, and they were watching the episode and saying, well, what can I do? And they check out the website, and that was really cool, a different experience. I've never had anything like that before.
Well, I hope we have a few more to come in that regard. So we did move to Atlanta in the summer of 2014. And it was basically, we did not know a soul. We had never been to Atlanta, but we knew that we were having an event coming up in February at downtown. So we wanted to be closer to the action. So we basically, it was kind of a leap of faith to just move down here. But in February, we hosted our first annual Young Leaders Summit at the Cobb Galleria. And again, we had children coming from all over the U.S. And Abdul, who had come in 2013, from Abu Dhabi. He came again, this time only with his dad, but his plane got delayed. He didn't end up getting to the event until 12 o'clock, which is when the event started. And then at 5 o'clock, since he had been in the airport all night the previous night, he was just dead tired. And basically, he flew 15 hours to be with us for only 5. And it just shows dedication of these children, how much they really want to be with each other, and they want to really support each other. And we also had Marcus Lemonis was this keynote speaker, and we got to chat with him a little bit, and so that was fun. I'm a big fan of his shows. And then 2 days before that, we met Beth Misner at a B&I Expo, and well, fast forward to today, we're having a great relationship. We just came back from Savannah from the National Directors Conference, and we've just, I think I told Ivan this, that to be able to get validation at this level after working so hard since 2008 to really kind of get this out, because what we're doing is very different, and it's hard for a small group, a small family, to push this out if we're not connected. So I'm really excited about the relationship that we have with the BNI Foundation and with Beth and Ivan, and I hope to see this. I really can't wait to see how it blossoms.
Well, we are equally excited, and I know Ivan is too. Thank you, Gabe.
You're welcome. And so now we're going to go and show. I'm going to let MaryMargaret talk about some of the heroes on the site itself. We didn't pick the quote-unquote best ones or the whatever. We just went through and took a sampling of them just to give you a sense of what kids can get to see and parents can get to see when they go on the site. So, MaryMargaret, can you take over, please?
Okay. At age 5, Aliana drew pictures of rainbows with the word hope and sold them to friends and family to raise money for a local children's shelter. Kayla's organization, Kayla Cares for Kids, has now donated almost 6,000 items, DVDs, books, DVD players, video games, and consoles to 54 children's hospitals, Ronald McDonald houses, and doctors across 32 states. Kaimani wants everyone to know that you are never too young to help make a difference. He has served over 4,000 meals, and his goal is to serve 5,000 in 2015. He doesn't think anyone should go hungry or live on the streets anymore. Julian's social media-based charity recently turned small donations from every inhabited continent into $40,000 to fight global poverty. Audrey decided to bake cinnamon rolls with her mom over Thanksgiving week and sell them to raise money for people in the Philippines devastated by a typhoon. She was able to raise $320 by selling the rolls to friends and neighbors. Ryan sponsored the drilling of his first water well at 6. Since then, his foundation has helped build over 927 water projects and 1,120 latrines, bringing safe water and improved sanitation to over 836,751 people.
Okay, well, that's just, thank you, MaryMargaret. That's just a few of the 461 stories, and if you read them, I dare you to not have tissues next to you because the stories are just so fascinating to me, and how they're also original and how they come up with their own ways and creative ways. And many kids are told that they're not, that they're too young to volunteer, that this is adult stuff, and they just go and do it anyway. And that's why I'm so proud of every single one of them. So in our future, and to talk a little bit about our future and what our future plans is, we have noticed that networking is an extremely powerful part of getting these kids together. And the kids, even at as young as the age 5, they want to be together. when they're playing together, that's that's networking at that young of an age. And when they get older, they really just are desperate to be with each other, because many of them get singled out and bullied in their own communities for what they're doing. So that's why another reason why we're so excited to be partnered with BNI, because BNI Foundation, because they're obviously the networking. They set the standards for networking globally. So where we see ourselves in the future is that we've grown a lot. We've had a lot of wins, but we still have a long, long way to go. We want to set our focus on the USA first. We want to focus on schools, camps, events, and networking events all across the country, similar to what we did in Atlanta. But I think if we provided resources to schools, it's a natural development for what we want to do. Let's see, there we go. We're excited to be partnered with BNI Foundation, and we want to leverage existing relationships and forge new ones to continue to get us to the next level. We know that we can't do this by ourselves, just as we stand. So we also hope to be working with universities and business people in the future to really take us to where we want to be. And a lot of people, I noticed when we were in Savannah last week, they said, well, how do you get funded? Well, again, we are a nonprofit, and how we have been doing it, we have our own crowdfunding source that's directly linked from our website. It's called our donor wall. And as you can see, you get your link to your website and logo and all that. Since 2008, I've been using Twitter to get the word out. We're in 18 countries, so I've learned a lot about it. So I teach Twitter classes, and I also and 100% of the proceeds goes to Kids Are Heroes. So I'm also challenging businesses to match my donations. So that's another opportunity. But we really expect the serious funding to come from universities and/or corporations in the future, and so that's basically just how we plan on getting funded to fund our grand ideas. So I think that's pretty much it that I have for Beth. So I'll let you take back over.
Great. Well, Gabe and MaryMargaret, thank you so much for sharing your vision and your heart and all the exciting things you're doing. I have a couple of questions for you, and then I want to give our listeners an opportunity to ask some questions. Ivan is going to facilitate the open mic section. So Ivan, will you give the instructions for asking questions? And then if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to ask a couple of questions and then launch into the listeners' questions.
Absolutely. We have a comment or two and a question or two, and I'll be giving those out in just a few moments. There is a questions bar on your dashboard, just in the question bar. Send us whatever question you've got, and we'd be happy to answer it. The only dumb question is the unasked question. Thank you, Beth.
So I wanted to know, Gabe and MaryMargaret, you guys just were with us for 4 days in Savannah, Georgia, and I had to leave. I wasn't able to stay there the whole time, and so I didn't get to debrief with you. I'd love to hear one or two things you took away from the time you spent with the BNI directors. How was that for you?
Well, I'll speak first, and then I'll let MaryMargaret. But I was I'm not sure what the right word is. I don't know if the word is impressed or humbled or just shocked by by how we were treated like royalty there, and I was maybe even surprised, because we're not used to that kind of stuff. But it was just wonderful how you guys included us in everything, and really did treat us like royalty, and again, and especially how you validated our work. And when Dr. Misner had in his speech mentioned us, and it was a resounding testimonial, and then he had MaryMargaret stand up, and of course the whole crowd was laughing, or sort of clapping, and I had tears in my eyes. It was because of the fact that, again, that we worked so hard, and a lot of times people are in the middle of their lives. They've got their own agendas, they got their own issues, and we're never on their front burner. So it was really kind of nice to be on the front burner for a little bit. So that was wonderful, and I really enjoyed meeting all the folks from BNI, and I was impressed by the culture and how you've been able to get that culture to trickle down the giver's gain and how everybody's. And I also learned a lot about networking. I thought I knew. I've been doing it a lot since July of last year, and I thought I knew a lot, but it turns out I need to learn more from you guys. I mean, from networking. So that was fun. And so, Mary Margaret, what about you?
Well, I think it was really nice to be able to, like you kind of said, meet all these people, the BNI people, and talk to them one-on-one. It was really cool to be able to meet Beth and Ivan, too, in person, because I've seen pictures of them and videos and everything, but I've never actually got to meet them until the past weekend. So that was really neat, and just be able to talk to everyone and see all the presentations and meet like people like Glenn. He was really nice, and he supported us 100%, and just meeting people like that that are really inspired and telling, saying what you're doing is great. I really want to get involved. How can I get involved? Those types of things. It's really, it's always nice to see people who actually want to go out and change the world now and are inspired by what we do. So.
Yeah, I want to shout out to Glenn too. He was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
He is cut out of his own cloth. I just love Glenn. Well, and Mary Margaret, your story is so inspiring, and the medium through which you have collected all these young kids' stories and their activism is inspiring to me as a grown-up. I said that from the stage, and I meant it because it helps me think, wow, if a 6-year-old could do that, what am I capable of doing if I just use half of the energy that they have to put to something? So you really are responsible for moving me, and I'll speak for myself, but moving me into a new level, and I really appreciate it. And
Thank
then
you.
you are welcome. Thank you. I should be the one thanking you. And you're a superstar. You go on the website, guys, and you can watch her on TV being interviewed so smoothly and so polished. I haven't even been on a TV show like that yet, and I don't think I would be nearly as polished and have a wardrobe malfunction and still look so put together. So you were amazing. Gabe, you
Thank
talked a
you.
little bit about how people can support you. And so that was going to be my second question, is just how can we support you financially? But we have the T3 equation in Business Voices, and that's how can we invest time, talent, and treasure. So I know that probably some of the questions will relate to that. How can we help you in other tangible ways? So just put
Right.
that question in the back of your mind. And Ivan, would you like to move us into the listeners' questions?
Yes, whenever you're ready. We've got several here. Emily, Claire, Cindy, Sonia, all have questions.
Excellent. Let's do it.
You ready for it now?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay. Sonia asks, are you considering coming to Portugal to present this project?
We would love to go all over the world. That's one of the things that that's been so exciting for us, is that we put out an invitation for Kids Are Heroes to all of our heroes, and in the first year it was San Francisco, and we were shocked because we were on the East Coast. The second year it was Kenya, and I couldn't believe it. My jaw dropped, but I was so excited. And then it was South Africa, and then the United Arab Emirates, and the cool thing is all these kids want to be a part of what we're doing, and all these kids want to be surrounded by other kids. And you know what? Their cultures are different, but just deep down they're the same. They like to have fun. I asked Diana about Kenya. I said, so what's popular in Nairobi right now? She goes, and she was 16. She said, oh, skinny jeans. So I mean, a lot of the things that the kids like there, they like here, and the cultures are different. But when you get them together, I mean, it's so enlightening for everybody involved to see that. So we cannot wait to the time where we can go to Portugal, and we don't. And by the way, if you're from Portugal, we don't have any heroes from there. So I would love to get some from there.
Well, I think you might get some, and we've got two similar questions actually. One from Cindy and one from Claire. Cindy's from Canada. Claire is from Europe. Cindy says she's excited to get a couple of our $1 million chapters involved in helping kids desperately in need here in Toronto. We have our national conference next week. We're going to be there. Beth and I are looking forward to it. And when we're back, she'll work on a media kit to reach out there. Who would I work with to make this happen is her question. And Beth, I'm guessing she would work with you a little bit from the BNI Voices perspective. And Gabe, she'd work with you from Business Heroes. And of course, we have Derek Bowles on the line. Anything with Stand Up America would work with
I
Derek
love,
as well.
Ivan, how you just merged Kids Are Heroes with Business Voices and said Business Heroes. I love that.
Did I?
You
There we go.
did. It's
Hero.
fantastic. You're a visionary.
It was subliminal.
Yeah, Cindy, we'll definitely get you plugged in with the right people to work with, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, we will be there, and we'd be excited to talk about it. Beth is going to be talking about the Business Voices program in Canada. And Claire's asking the same thing about Europe. So, Gabe, I think you got a couple of connections around the
Some
world.
noble networking happening here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Beth, how can they reach out to Gabe?
Gabe, I will let you give your email address if that's what you'd like to have.
Yeah, well, if you certainly go to the website kidsareheroes.org, and that's KIDSAREHEROES.org, and you go to the About section. I've got all my stuff there, but the email is gabe@kidsareheroes.org, and of course we're big on Twitter at kidsareheroes, facebook.com/kidsareheroes, and youtube.com/kidsareheroes. So there's no shortage of ways to get in touch with us. We're an open book.
And Brian mentions that the Kids Are Heroes websites are on the social media pages for BNI, the Ivan Misner page, I'm guessing, the BNI
all of them, yes.
page, and I'm sure on the BNI Foundation page.
Right.
Emily has a question, Laura has a question, and let me take it to Emily's first. I love Emily's opening comment.
Yes.
I think you'll like it. My mind is racing with possibilities. Listening to this, what are the most common challenges these kids face, and how can we learn more about these challenges and network to help? Could we connect the heroes with chapters in their local area?
Emily, I love you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think that could be done. I'm not sure exactly how that would all work, but I think that's actually an amazing idea. Somehow between Beth and I, we sit down and figure out how we could logistically get that done, but I think we could.
One thought that comes to mind, Gabe, is during International Networking Week to let all the heroes know about the BNI chapters that they could visit, maybe even with their parents during International Networking Week.
That's something and we were talking about getting the BNI kids involved anyways, and so
absolutely.
And as the BNI children become heroes, then they'll already be attached to the chapters.
See, our minds are racing too, right?
Right. Because that's really good. One of the things I noticed when I was in Savannah, this gentleman told me that his kids shave their head for St. Baldrick's, which is a cancer awareness organization. And I said, well, your children are already they can already be on our site. They're already eligible, so just go ahead and nominate them. And so if your kid is doing something out there that it was their idea, they came up with the project, it's their passion. Simply go to our website, thekidsareheroes.org/nominate, and nominate them, and they will be a part of the community. So that's another thing I wanted to mention from before. Excellent. Anyway.
So Emily, her first question was, what are the most common challenges that the heroes face? Do you have or maybe MaryMargaret might have an observation on that?
Well, I know a lot of kids, the mainly challenges that they face is financial things, but I mean, they always think of a way to kind of get out of that by making more projects, and maybe some of them even have parents that doubt them, that say, well, you're just 12 years old, you can't do anything, but they prove their parents wrong by going out and just doing it themselves and saying, I have a plan, here it is, and here's how I'm going to do it, and then they kind of start listening. So yeah, just thinking of like different ways that they can go out and make their own projects, and hopefully like I like doing fundraisers. I did a lemonade stand before, and that was really successful. That was a lot of fun too. I do it with two of my best friends. And I mean, having your friends involved is always a good way to kind of, get a project started. So if you don't think you can do it, if you can't do it by yourself, then of course you can always get your friends and even your family involved. So.
So, Gabe, that brings me to an idea that Emily says, how can we learn more about those challenges and network to help? Would you be able to let your heroes know if they have some challenge and they would like some noble networking to post their need, and we'll post it at the BNI Foundation Facebook page, and then those of us that are engaged in Business Voices and kind of staying in touch in that avenue could do some noble networking for them possibly?
Absolutely, and I think they love that. Yeah, there's the one thing about the children is they haven't learned that they can't do it yet.
I love that.
They haven't absorbed that concept. So many of them just do it, and then say, well, Wesley says, well, I'm going to have a playground for every First Nations community in Canada.
Oh,
And I'll be darned if he isn't doing it.
wow.
And this kid started when he was we met him when he was 12 years old, and so but at the same time, now and I know one of through my sister's friend ended up getting a truck and taking a whole bunch of books from that the Books with No Bounds kids did, and driving them up to 4 hours, whatever. So things like that, there's lots of stuff like that that can be done, helping them facilitate what they're doing, whether it be giving books or it be giving, food or whatever. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for you guys to help the heroes in that regard.
So we have another question from Laura. Does Kids Are Heroes help the young entrepreneurs by teaching them business skills and/or leadership skills and/or funding their projects?
We're very, very young right now, so we're but in the plans is we want to give out small microloans, but absolutely we want to be teaching them entrepreneurial skills. The idea is that when I had an awakening one night where I was thinking, we've got 400 kids on the site. What happens when it's 4,000 or 40,000? Most of these kids are going down the nonprofit route, and for us to be kind of encouraging that, where they're all fighting over the same donations and the same that are drying up anyway and competing with each other, that's really what we don't want. It's not a good business model. So what we really want to do is teach them entrepreneurial skills and make them have self-sustaining businesses, so that, and we don't care if it's for-profit, non-profit, or even a B corporation, as long as there's always a social element to it. So a very strong social element to it. So that's really what we're trying to build, and that's why we partnered with the Kids Business Expo here in Atlanta. That was part of. They were our partners at our Young Leader Summit in February, and because they loved us because we're doing the social entrepreneurship. We love them because they're teaching kids the entrepreneurial skills. So we want to partner with more and more companies or factions that can help us do that, to develop some entrepreneurial programs for these kids.
And one of the ideas that you and I have been kicking around, Gabe, is to do a BNI chapter simulation with your heroes, maybe call it BNI Junior. How exciting could that be?
Well, again, I mean, the networking part of it is something that I didn't realize was so important to them, to these kids, until they demonstrated it to me. And then once I learned that, I said, well, now we really have to get these kids together to network. But in addition to that, that's another skill that is incredibly important, especially as our global economy is changing. It's no longer, get a job and or graduate from college and put your resume out and get hired. It's much, much different now. Networking is becoming so much more important to do, and that's really how I got work when I moved down here. I didn't know anybody when I came down here. So, and I've been taking Mary Margaret to some of our networking groups, the day ones and night ones, and she's she's becoming like a really polished networker, and she's the youngest one in the group. And so this is really what I want to encourage, because this is a skill that she now is getting, is accumulating on top of all the other skills that she's getting. And so that's why I really want to, that's why I'm excited to partner with the experts of networking, and that's BNI.
Mm.
So Cindy has a couple of comments. She's
Cindy is
operated
excited.
she's operated a career center to help underprivileged kids in the past, and this has reignited her to get back into that. She can't wait to get started. She thanks us for the webinar and loves the idea of BNI International Networking Week, Kids and Heroes. Claire has a question. I think lots of schools in the UK have a charity enterprise week where they encourage these skills. So we could present this to them as well as the contacts in the BNI chapters. So it sounds like you're going to make a few decent connections internationally here, Gabe.
I love it, and I appreciate it.
Well, that's the last question or comment that I have for today, unless anybody else has something that they want to send.
And I'm just going to unmute our partner and our friend, Derek Bowles. Just love to get Derek's feedback, and if you would like to weigh in while we're calling for last questions, guys. I've gotten some emails. Go ahead, Derek.
No, it's just inspiring. I mean,
it is, right?
It's very powerful, and you know, as a student, I'm listening and thinking about the impact that this will have for the next generation of leaders. I mean, it is truly inspiring, and I love the social entrepreneur element to it. I think that, you know, that really is raising the moral compass of our young people. And so I just wanted to applaud you for your work and your vision. I think it is inspired, and I think it is powerful. So
thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan, any more discussion, or are we ready to move on to the final slide?
I think we're ready to move on. That was all of the questions. Thanks, everyone, for such great questions and comments. And please stay in touch with Beth and with Gabe so that we can continue to move the Business Voices movement along.
Absolutely. And before I go on to our final slide, I just want to share that Gabe and I and MaryMargaret and Ivan and Derek are going to be working toward creating a kids element of Business Voices, because there's no reason why. I've always said that Business Voices is not just for BNI members, and there's no reason why we can't engage BNI members' kids and even kids from the schools that we're going into to help to find their own superpowers and their cape, you know, so they can be their own superhero as well. So that leads us to our last slide. I want to thank everyone for participating today. We are going to do another webinar on June the 5th. That's Friday, same time, noon Central, and our guest will be Ready for Kindergarten, which is a program sponsored by the Children's Reading Foundation. This is a BNI member up in Washington State who's been referred to us by our director up there, Will Gaethel, and I've interviewed them, done the pre-interview for the webinar, and I'm very, very, very excited to bring them on to our spotlight, shine the spotlight on them. They are a national organization in the United States, so they will have the ability for us to plug in once we get excited about what they're doing in your local region. So that's one reason for bringing them on. So registration links will be on our social media sites, and the link for watching this webinar again and sharing with members and sharing on your own social media pages will be coming to our Facebook page. So watch us at BNI Foundation on Facebook. We appreciate your time today and are really grateful that MaryMargaret and Gabe, thank you both for coming on the call. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us.
It was our pleasure. And Ivan and Derek, any final words?
Nope.
Nope. We're good.
I appreciate the great work that I appreciate the great work that Kids Are Heroes and Stand Up America are doing, and we're really proud to be part of their program.
Absolutely. All right, guys.
Well, thank
Hey,
you.
have a wonderful weekend, and we look forward to seeing you on our webinar again in 1 month on June the 5th. In the meantime, we'll see you online.
Well, thank you so much.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you.